Hi, I'm Billie Ruth Hopkins, Furuichi. I will be giving you a little bit of an introduction about who I am. I'm going to turn this off. I've got video or audio. Who I am and the book that I'm writing now, my second. It will be called Surviving Stupid with the subtitle of Confessions of a Closet Imbecile. The first book that came out last year that I wrote is called Illuminating the Mundane. It's transformational silk art and haiku, and it was published by River Sanctuary Publishing Company in Felton, California. Uh, David Weiss and Annie Elizabeth Porter are the publishers, and they do a really fine job of helping people through this process of publishing. You can go to www.riversanctuarypublishing and see my book and all of the other things that they have as well. So what I'd like to do is just a brief introduction of who I am, and then we can go into some of the poetry that I've written and the commentary and some of the dream journals that are also included in the book. The poem that I'd like to read first was written just the other day for Samantha Bennett, who has come into my life over the internet, and she does e-posts that are very, very helpful. My sister Bobby introduced me to Samantha over the web, and Samantha Bennett, if you don't know her work, you should. She's very helpful at helping people to recognize their potential and their genius and to get it out there. Just get it out there and stop stopping yourself by thinking you don't have the ability or the wherewithal or the expertise or all those letters behind your name that you're supposed to, whatever. But yeah, she's great. And it's like looking into a mirror, listening to my own recordings sometimes when I hear her, because really she's telling me all the things that I really know already, but it's very nice to get it from somebody else. So at any rate, I have been writing and painting, doing silk painting for about 20 years. I've actually been writing forever. I've always written, but the painting has been for about 20 years only. And in that process, what I have come to realize is that everything is layered and integrated with everything that has happened to you in the past, whether it's good or not, or whether you perceive it as having been good or not, whether you perceive it as having been a mistake or a pitfall or a dive into hell. It has happened to you for some reason, and you are who you are because of all of that. So that's why I think it's really important for me to be out with this book, Surviving Stupid, Confessions of the Closet Imbecile. My background is also varied and wide because I'm really old and I have a lot to offer. But because of that, I think I'm also able to get a distant perspective on who I am and almost look at my life as past lives, things I've done in the past. I started out as a dancer with Cavilla Parker in Denver, Colorado, and they started the Colorado Concert Ballet. Well, then I went to Mexico, and I was dancing with Constanza Huil Ballet and the Latin Show Ballet for a couple of years, also singing jazz with Tino Contreras, Mario Contreras, and a couple of other big jazz names in Mexico. And that was quite an experience in my youth. And I was a folk singer before that. When I was just a teenager in Denver, I was a folk singer, and I still play the guitar and sing, and I write my own songs. And I have written a musical fable based on a fable that my father wrote a long time ago called Angelita. And my musical fable is called Angelita and the Way of Ethergus. Now that comes from a dream, Ethergus. We'll go into that later. But previous to being a silk painter and bringing my workshops into more of a spiritual foundation, I was a high school teacher, and I had gotten my BA at the University of California in Santa Cruz in English and Spanish literature, and and with the California university system, you either go for your 2 years as a credentialed high school teacher, or you get your master's. Well, at the time, I chose to go the 2 years to get my credentials, and there again, surviving stupid. It was a career choice, which may not have been a good choice for me uh, in the long run, because then you don't have those letters behind your name. But on the other hand, it gave me a lot of experience, and the experience in the classroom has been invaluable. Well, after teaching for a few years, I went into technical writing, and I was asked to develop a 24-hour self-paced course for system studies in Santa Cruz. It was now the course that we developed was in telephone cable pressurization, maintenance, and monitoring. I knew nothing about telephone cable pressurization, maintenance, and monitoring. This was in the days when telephone cables were those big old things, pick and pulp cables, and no such thing as fiber optics. But I was a good teacher. I could read and I could learn step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and turn a reference manual into a training course that was sequenced in a way that somebody could actually learn something from it. So that was a wonderful affirmation for me that I didn't need to just count on classroom teaching the rest of my life. What it also did for me was it gave me a formula for moving through material that is not really something you're familiar with and comfortable with by counting on subject matter experts. But you also have to count on your gut. You have to trust your gut. And I came up with a formula during those years with system studies that it was fresh sight and gut trust are what combine synergistically to bring out a perfect vision. You can create a vehicle that will fly if you trust your gut and you multiply it with the fresh sight from subject matter experts. So GT times FS equals PV. Gut trust times fresh sight equals perfect vision. Yeah. So I use that formula often, recognizing that if you don't trust your gut, if you don't listen to the guidance that's given to you, you will totally flounder. You'll never fly. But you also have to be willing to allow the fresh sight to come in from subject matter experts from different subjects without giving your gut trust away. You need to recognize the fact that gut trust is something that comes from your divine higher intelligence. And don't give that away. Make sure that you keep that. So after a few years, I went to Maui after a divorce, my first divorce. Went to Maui and taught preschool for a while. Then I met Wayne Dyer, who was giving a talk at the Unity Church at Maui, and I was the youth education director there. And he said we all need to make claim to the fact that we are citizen diplomats of the world. We should recognize that we can change what we don't want to see. In other words, Gandhi's mandate to be the change you want to see in the world. And he implored us to consider going to Russia. So I did. I took that leap and went on that first trip for the World Instant of Cooperation in December of 85 with Rama Vernon and the Soviet-American Dialogue. And from that experience, I came back with the clear knowledge that I had to bring real kids to Russia next time. I couldn't just go that one time and think that I had done anything important. So that's another story.